two curious blondes, intrigued by mindfulness versus embodiment.
Hello there. So it's been a while, but here we are again with two curious blondes and me and Helen.
Hello. Nice to see everybody again.
We're very excited to start again, and after some months of silence. And today we're going to talk about mindfulness versus embodiment. Are both our fields that we're working in, and I think it's more about not only about work but more about our lives.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to discuss that. Before we start and before I give you the microphone, Helen, I just want to make I like visuals, so I made a little bit of a graphic.
I like this. Yes.
Yeah. So here we are, two circles, embodiment and mindfulness. And then you see, well, one very obvious thing that we have in common is bringing awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And I
even like the colours.
They're roots. They're very powerful.
Yes, I agree.
And yeah, in awareness also brings, of course, the ability to choose and maybe change. So, but that's the follow-up. But yeah, let's have our ideas about it. So, Helen, how do you see mindfulness and then in relation to embodiment?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because mindfulness is such a big thing, definitely in Britain. It's one of those things now that seems to be in everything you look at. You know, even the big supermarkets are introducing mindfulness in the way that you eat and everything, in the schools, in the NHS. Everywhere you look, mindfulness is being used. And in some ways, I think that is amazing because it's becoming sort of so well known, and it's becoming a little bit of a way of life for people, which I totally agree with. I think that's fantastic. But maybe on the other side of things, a little bit of that tradition of mindfulness, the authenticity of mindfulness disappears when it gets very, very popular like that. So if anyone ever says to me, what is mindfulness? I'll always take them back to the fact that it is a practice, it's a way of life. It's about living your life in the present, and it's being aware of things, but then also letting things be, which is, it's quite a difficult place to be or to get to, maybe without some practice. But I think the more you practice, the more you feel that your life is actually not only slowing down, but is actually opening up to such a bigger awareness of everything. And it's a concept that's quite strange to describe to people in the beginning. But once they start practicing and get these little highs and aha moments, I think it can be such a beautiful way of life, really. And for the last, well, I've been doing yoga for many, many years. For the last 9 years I've been teaching it. I've seen some lovely results of people saying, oh, I'm so nervous, you know, and I might get heart palpitations, and then they do a little meditation and some breath work, and suddenly they're in control. Yeah, they can control how their mind and their body are reacting, and that to me has got to be the perfect scenario, basically. Yeah. And what about for you, Estelle? How would you sort of bring in embodiment at this stage to compare perhaps with how that looks against mindfulness?
Yeah, well, for sure, it's a term that is less common than mindfulness. Like we talked a little bit before, I think mindfulness is a concept that I really know already from my 20s, so more than 20, 30 years ago. It's become to rise out of the Buddhist circles. I think it came more from there. So I really love your little tweak there about acceptance, like this not holding or pushing something away, but being in there in the situation, and sort of taking it as it is. I can see that has also some relation to embodiment, but embodiment, I think, would be more about using the body as a portal, and seeing the body as a way of communicating with the world, with yourself, with the world. And it's interesting because I'm saying the body, but actually embodiment, we would more say, would be more correctly to say my body, because it's not there, it's here. And actually, I think all the bodies for me, like emotional, spiritual, and mental, have also a body. So it's like this, intertwining of all these bodies. But with embodiment, we use the body as going to all those bodies and finding more clearness, awareness, presence, and to move forward, or to at least feel more alive, more in control without the hard control. But yes, in the way also, the word embodiment, if you see it verbally, it's like you're taking on the suit of something. So if you embody something, you creep into the skin of that concept or that idea. For example, if you want to be more fearful, more courageous, you can think of someone, like maybe a character like Superwoman, and try to embody that. What would Superwoman do, and how would she move? How would she talk? How would she smell? How would she feel? So yeah, that whole way is, I think it's an easy way to describe the concept of embodiment. So you really creep into the skin of that, what is maybe overdone or underdone in you. And to make a little bit of history about embodiment, it doesn't have the settings of the Buddhism. It's more a Western concept. But it's more about, it's more coming from the fields of dancing, of theater, even from martial arts, where because imagine, for martial arts, if you're not really there, you will get your head cut off.
Yes. Yes, yeah.
Right? So you really need their totally in presence and totally embody that what you're fighting for, or having this sort of ritual dance for. And yeah, so in those sections, the embodiment was already more active, and maybe the word was more spread. But yeah, it's still something to promote and to explain, and even to embody for myself, because it's many different layers. It's really complex to understand, to explain, to understand, to feel.
Yes.
So saying all this, where do you feel that we are, like, of course we're saying the graphic, bring this awareness, where do you feel that complements or is in the same?
I honestly believe that mindfulness has become as popular because of the simplicity of it. So there's no need to buy expensive equipment. The courses are not usually very expensive. The NHS give free courses, and actually you can do it without a course, because the whole process and the whole idea of it is to really begin to use your breath, and to do some meditation, and to slow everything down on what's happening, to connect your mind and your body. But mindfulness could be as simple as going for a mindfulness walk. And I think possibly embodiment probably is the same for that, because how many people go marching off, or how many people don't walk, but if you do walk, go marching off with the headphones on, listening to a podcast or something, instead of just walking and admiring nature and actually looking around and really sort of soaking up those sort of real slow moments that give your head a little bit of space to just get some calm and peace into your life. And I think we're living in such a fast world that overwhelm is completely everywhere. You know, all you hear about is people not being able to keep up, running. We have 24-hour news, we've got podcasts, we've got Wi-Fi everywhere you go. Everybody's on their phones, everybody's on their watch phones. And somewhere in all this, there is perhaps some recommendations to slow down, to give your body and your mind a chance to just be relaxed, to just notice and just really live in the present and not be arranging something new for tomorrow and thinking about what happened in the past. It's really about appreciating every moment. And I think a common complaint you hear from people is that time is going faster. But of course, it's not going faster, but it's our concept of going faster. To actually slow down your life and take a pause really is a very healthy thing to do, and great for your body, great for blood pressure, you know, everything that goes with being stressed and everything. And I think embodiment probably is coming from the same place. It's giving you a chance to take control of your mind and your body and not letting life and our society and the way we live control us. I think that's quite an important point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what the last that you said. Yes, it's that life is not lived. I mean, you're not lived by life, I must say, but that you're living life, or that you're fully inside of life, and taking everything out of it, like exploring as much as you can, the good and the bad. I mean, it's not about finding your joy only.
No. It's about coping as well.
Right, it's about handling that. And I don't know, but for me, if I think of mindfulness, maybe that's a little bit the different. You fly in the mind to overrule a little bit the monkey part of the mind, and you use the mind to help you come, to the ground, to ground and to center and to be present. And in embodiment, we also use the mind, but we can also use it in a different way. We start to go in the body and let the body tell us what to do, and then from the body, here comes communication, and the mind speaks the words that come while the body is moving. So I think that maybe makes it the different thing between the two of us, or the two concepts we're talking about. Because in general, I could do a session without almost not speaking, just trying to provoke some movement in your body, and to see what comes from there, because your whole body, this whole is an instrument, is a big container of knowledge, of knowing, and as like we see, as we are growing, evolving, even as a child starting to walk, a child knows how to walk. I mean, it's not that we need to teach. Of course, we can help in that process, and that's also my part in the coaching. But the body has the knowledge, the whole system as such. And actually, I'm saying the body, but that body contains everything. So all these bodies communicate, and has, like I said before, it's like this fast communication within. but yeah, I think in embodiment, the exploration is a little bit more on the side of using the body as a movement tool, as a way of getting clarity, because the mind will follow the body, and even the body can overrule the mind.
Yes,
That's what we're aiming for, because
absolutely.
yeah, we have the problem of that overworking mind, right?
But you can
Um,
take, for example, perhaps you're preparing the dinner, the evening meal or something. So you're busy there chopping vegetables, you're watching the TV, you're trying to talk on the phone maybe to your mother at the same time. And, you, as women, we've always sort of said how well we can juggle everything, but actually juggling can be quite a difficult thing to do, and it can take away the joy and the pleasure and the simplicity of doing one thing. So the idea with mindfulness is perhaps when you're cooking and you're preparing those veg, you are actually chopping the veg and you're looking at those vegetables and you're enjoying, if you like, or you're concentrating on it. And as you concentrate, you're looking at the colors, you're aware of the smell. Suddenly you're using all your senses. You're not looking at the television, and unfortunately your call to your mother is going to have to wait till after dinner. But what you're doing by focusing on one action that you're doing at a time is you're giving it 100%, and your brain is not jumping around monkey mind on 100 other things. And that clarity and that focus is then giving you some kind of control over your mind and therefore your body and your breathing. And it's interesting that such simple things can bring such clarity. And then when you have clarity, your decision making and the way that you live your life, if you like, come from a very different place than if you're feeling stressed and you're, as you used to say, shooting from the hip and trying to juggle so many things. I'm not saying it's easy to do that all the time, but with some practice, that kind of focus and concentrating on this one moment in time can be it can be a revelation of how different you approach things in your life, basically. Yeah.
definitely, definitely. And I don't know how about you, but so I've always worked with the body. I mean, this is my background as a physical therapist. So it's been always, and even before, I always remember myself being very aware of my posture, of what I did. I would be maybe called high sensitive, so very aware about others and emotional and all these realms that for some reason came for me very early and very profound. But I remember those moments in my life that I was also juggling and always doing things at the same time, because look at me, how good I am.
Yes.
Am I to do that? But
Yeah,
now it's the opposite. It's because I've been
absolutely.
doing so much practice, and for me, like we were saying about cooking, it becomes more a ritual. It's not only about cooking, it becomes more sacred almost, and that
Mhm.
sacredness brings me so much value and joy, and therefore clarity, as you say. But I'm not able to do things at the same time anymore. For example, I cannot watch something on TV or on a screen and also read the subtitles. I cannot do it. I cannot do it. It's not, my brain doesn't want it. It's either I see the subtitles or either I see the movie.
Yes.
So I can see that many years of practicing, of repeating, of focusing, of making my presence more enlarging my presence, but also making my presence more towards something, some specific thing. It really, it's on the long run, it brings you this habit that your whole body, your whole system will remind you of if you fall in the old pitfall. And yeah, and I think that's the best to see, that practice makes perfect would not say, but yeah, makes habit.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, I think the other thing that is very much about embodiment, and in this modern world, we're always chasing, if you like, the concept of contentment, happiness. We're always looking for the next experience, and it's very much an external chase, I think. You're looking for the next holiday, you're looking for the next exciting restaurant to go to, or the next new car or motorbike or whatever. So all these external things have become so materialistic, and so much, we've become so much more dependent on our contentment or state of mind to be fulfilled by all these things. And when you start practicing, I think both of what we're talking about with the embodiment and the mindfulness, you begin to get a certain inner contentment. And that is quite an amazing thing, to be able to go for a walk and come back, or while you're there, feeling a sense of relaxation, enjoyment, and from just cooking or talking with friends or something. These things become part of your world and important, rather than chasing these sort of much more exterior, exciting things. Not to say that you can't have those, but I think there's a certain sense of contentment of knowing that you're in the right place at the right time, and that you're not always chasing something new or something different. So when I started learning, I found very much that I was always on to the next thing and the next thing. I'd be at a friend's birthday party and I'm thinking, oh, this is lovely. When am I going to do this again? When am I going to repeat this? There's this sensation that not actually stopping and enjoying where you are. And I think very much so, once you start realizing, as I say, that you're in the right place, this is the only moment that is present, is now. And once you realize that, you begin to enjoy this moment, rather than almost wasting time or using your time waiting for the next thing to happen. And I think that whole process of always looking to the future, to the next thing, is what gives the sensation of life passing too quickly. Yeah. And the more you are in the present, the more you actually enjoy what you're doing. You do it well. You do it because you're focusing on it. Your mind is much clearer with it, and therefore your body feels better with it as well. Right. And I think this clarity is what we're searching for, with both of our practices, I think.
Right. Yeah, totally. And I think also with not only this clarity, and like you said, it doesn't mean it needs to be per se joyful, but there is some joyfulness in being here, even though it's painful, or or you're in grief, or whatever is happening in life. I mean, it doesn't change the situation as such, but it's changed your perspective towards it. And especially your inner movement, like you said, or you want to grab more, or you want to go from it, like had this movement of taking or pushing or pulling, that internal movement that gets more subtle and more, and hopefully even maybe stops to appear, and which will help you even in the hardship moment, that you still feel a sort of joy or happiness. Maybe not joy, maybe happiness is the better word. Like there's a sort of happiness, even in pain, even in maybe it's not a good word either. Maybe it's more like a sort of juiciness. It's like this aliveness of things, right? This aliveness, and that aliveness, I think that's why we are here. We want to feel alive. And we think that aliveness comes from grasping that new thing in front of us, or pushing away that thing that we don't like. But I think that juiciness, that aliveness, is in not doing that, but just being aware. Where am I? What I'm doing? What is valuable for me? And of course, in that you get the clarity and the awareness and make a choice, maybe do it differently or go somewhere else or not meeting that person. But like this scale of possibilities appear, and that gives a feeling of confidence, of sureness about yourself, but about life. So I think, yeah, it's a beautiful way of complementing life, I think.
And life can be hard, life is hard. And often those challenging moments, however dark or however difficult they are your growing times. And if you can cope with those times, if you have an inner confidence that however painful life gets, you can begin to understand it, you can begin to manage it, then from those dark moments, the growth comes, and then the contentness and the happy places come, basically, the joy comes. The old Buddhist idea of the lotus from the mud, this beautiful flower grows from the mud. If you had beautiful flowers around you all the time, you'd get a little bit bored with your beautiful flowers. And so and that's not life. Life has got mud, every day. But depending how you see the mud and depending how you work through the mud, my mission is to give people this confidence. I think you mentioned the word confidence, but this clarity and this confidence that you can do it. This is possible for you, as long as you've got the right tools and know how to work with it. Taking some meditation, some breath work, some mindfulness walking. Knowing what works for you can help you get through those difficult times.
Right.
And the more you practice, especially if you practice when you're not going through a difficult time, the easier it becomes, until I find with mindfulness, you end up living what I call a mindfulness life, because it's in your life without even realizing. The way that you do things and the way you live your life is actually part of the practice. Yes. And no secrets about it. I think that's what's great for, again, both of our practices. It's not a secretive, expensive thing to be doing. It's such a natural, very, very old established way of doing things that we seem to have lost. We seem to have lost this confidence in ourselves, and we look to perhaps the medical industry, we look to psychologists and everything to help us out, which, yes, is important. But what if you could do that as well for yourself? That's what the game changer is, I think.
Right. And also, like you mentioned, those other ways, like we had as toolbox, like talking about it with a psychologist or something. It's still a very minded way to do that, to process things, and it's about that grasping, that understanding, again, a little bit, for me, a little bit more outside, instead of turning inside and starting to feel it from the bottom up. And maybe the understanding doesn't come, but the understanding in your body is present, and it will know, she or he or however you relate to it will know what to do. And the more you can be open to listen to that, or to just let yourself be followed by that, the more you will understand it, but maybe on a totally different level that we always have learned, because we've been always so much in this part. I'm saying now that the mind is here, but I think the whole mind is bigger. But so it's another kind of tapping into another kind of knowledge that is there. And like you said, it's old because it's in our cells, it's in our lineage, it's in our whole evolution. And that's the portal. That's where we find that juiciness. That's what we find, the answers or the understanding, or at least how to proceed further, or to make trial and error in anything. I mean, it doesn't mean that you always do it right in the same moment, because you seem to understand it. But it's like this exploration of another part of existence that we have lost, that we have forgotten, that we have pushed away, and even more as women. And that's why I think we both also are doing our practices more towards women, because we have also a big history and learning about suppressing so many senses, so many abilities in our whatever kind of body that holds, and there's so much to gain from it. So yeah, it makes me feel, well, even happy just to talk about it. Is how you feel already,
I
like
agree.
this is aliveness. This is what is life about. It's not about that outside image that we've been taught, that it's like success or whatever words you can hang on it. And there's a big, I think, even for me in my practice many years and many ways, I mean, there's still new things. There's still
Absolutely.
so much. I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't have the illusion that I have all the answers in general. I think I will never have, even if I die and become 100. But I think the spectrum of what we know and what we understand in a deeper level of life is maybe this of the whole horizon. And to find out more and to see more in that or that and that, it brings you a richness as a being. And I think that's the joy that will bring that joy and that juiciness and that aliveness. So
Absolutely. And there's a sense of satisfaction as well. And we all, I'm sure we're all aware these days that material things give a very short term sense of satisfaction. And working on yourself and giving yourself some confidence and really enjoying feeling that sense of being in the right place, of arriving, there's nothing that touches that sense of satisfaction, I think. And
yeah.
yes, you don't need to be a millionaire to do this. And in fact, I'm a great believer that the more you have, in the sense of being a millionaire, but all the more you have, the more you want. It's that sort of spiral that you never get out of. But it almost feels like when you do the mindfulness practice, the spiral's the opposite way. The more you give time to yourself, the more satisfaction you get. So the more you come inside, the more you can enjoy and take on whatever life has to offer you. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And even physically, you can find that you can make an explanation, because we're talking about satisfaction, we're talking about dopamine, which the
Yes.
brain makes.
Yeah.
And we all know we have dopamine addiction because, like you said, those external, like just the scrolling on, why are we going on? Because dopamine is asking us, we want it more and more because it's a small hit. But
Mm-hmm.
then the center on a certain point is empty and we
Yes.
keep doing it. And the only way to get that center full with dopamine again, we need to charge ourselves, and that is
Yeah.
being present, going to nature, moving, resting, eating, mindful, of course, etc. So even actually those things are dopamine givers, but not so much that they also take the whole research in one time. So
Yeah.
it's more imbalanced if you, for example, eat something, a delicious meal, it's also giving you dopamine. But
Absolutely.
yeah, but it gives you also the more dopamine. It's more it's more produced also. So you have
Mm-hmm.
more imbalanced
Yes.
takeouts. And
Mm-hmm.
while the other things like the scrolling, it's a totally takeout and no
Yeah.
refilling.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most extreme one, but that's hard because it's so hardwired now that we need that for a satisfaction, while it drains us. It drains
Mhm.
us really physically already, and that's one center. I mean, I'm not speaking about many other things in the body what happen. So yeah, and we can make our own dopamine, but we need to provide that moment to make that.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's by being there, by being mindful, by being in your body, by exploring life from another point of view than seeing only that external input.
Mhm. And I love this idea of balance, because to me, when you're in balance is when you feel good. Yes. And you know, when you're in balance, you feel healthy, your mind feels clear, you know, physically, you know, you can see somebody that's in balance. There's a sort of an aura about somebody who's got a quiet confidence, and again, a certain contentment and everything about them. And this idea of being in balance, it's not that difficult to achieve with some practice, and it's a lovely way to live, I think. Yeah.
Right.
So I have got a little bit of sunny sprinkling here.
Yes.
On here. So actually, it's Mother Teresa who said this.
Wow.
And she says, "Be happy in the moment, that's enough. Each moment is all we need, not more." Yeah. So very wise woman. But yeah, I do feel like that sort of describes, because life is a series of moments. And if you enjoy or be present for each moment, then I feel that you get more out of life than if you are just trying to spend the moments or fill them somehow. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. And just to think about Mother Teresa, how could she be so devoted to her cause, to her care? There must be something internally
Mhm.
giving that
Yeah.
for her, right? So
Yeah.
this is what we can see, because we can say, okay, maybe from a judgmental point of view, she was always taking care of others. Did she take care of herself? Well, probably yes, because otherwise
Yes.
she would not be able to do this at such an extent and in such extreme way, and even having these words, giving that back to me to see that, this, she had that internal wisdom and that internal peace.
Absolutely. Yes. That peace and calmness. Yes.
Right.
That is, and that is about, you know, staying healthy. You know, with peace and calm around you, you can maintain good health and live, hopefully, a very happy, satisfying life. And that's what we're all after, really. At the end of the day, that's what we're all trying to achieve, isn't it? A good, long, happy, satisfying, healthy life. Yes. So, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well,
Good.
thank you.
Thank you, Esther.
It was our first, after many months,
Yeah.
podcast again. I'm really happy that we did. Thank you all
Absolutely.
for being here.
Thank you for watching. Yes.
Right. And I think next time we can dive into more of the practices of these
That'd be good.
mindful embodiment. So stay tuned.
Okay.
Until next time.